All right, let's jump right in. We've got this article you sent over from Miko News, and it's definitely got people here talking at Miko TV even.
It's making waves, that's for sure. It's about, these executive orders that would, well, they want to rename some pretty big landmarks. In the U.S., I mean.
Yeah, like the Gulf of Mexico. They want to call it the Gulf of America now. And in Alaska, Denali's going back to being Mount McKinley, renaming the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Yeah, it is. It's a big deal. It's not, like, totally new, though. Renaming landmarks, I mean. It's been a way for a long time for countries to kind of, show their power, change how we think about the past, even try to forget some of it.
Yeah, and people are really talking about it now. This Miko News article, it shows just how different people are reacting. You've got some saying it's like super patriotic, and others saying it's like trying to rewrite history. And social media, forget about it. The hashtags like hashtag Gulf America and hashtag Mount McKinley are blowing up.
It's like these names, they've turned into symbols in this like bigger fight about our culture. Some people, it's about being American, taking that back. For others, it feels like someone's trying to just erase what happened, control the story we tell about it.
It's got me thinking about us, working at Miko TV and all. We're putting this news out there. Are we just like reporting the facts?
Yeah.
Or are we kind of accidentally pushing people to think a certain way just by how we cover it? Feels like a lot of responsibility.
It really is. It brings up some big questions about what the media is supposed to do now with everything online and moving so fast. How do we talk about something that could divide people like this without seeming like we're on one side or the other?
And how do we, I don't know, make sure people have enough information to decide for themselves? When stuff spreads so fast online, it's easy to miss the little details that matter.
Exactly. And with this story, those little details, they're really important. We have to get the history, what each side is saying, and what could happen if we change these names for good. It's not like there's one easy answer here.
Yeah, it's like we're looking in a mirror at what's going on in our country right now.
Yeah.
You mentioned nationalism and identity politics. Those were kind of at the heart of all this, I think.
So how does this whole renaming thing connect to those bigger ideas? It feels like something we're seeing not just here, but like all over the world.
You're right. On the money, it's not just us. Think about all the arguments over those statues and monuments from colonial times, or like the push to use native names for places again. It's all part of this global thing.
Yeah.
Who gets to decide what history is? Who do we listen to? And how do we deal with like all the bad stuff that happened with power and oppression and all that?
It's like those names, Gulf of America, Mount McKinley. They're not just names, they're where these different ideas clash. Yeah, exactly. They become like these lightning rods. All these feelings and worries about what it means to belong to a country come pouring out. And with social media, it's like these fights are happening for everyone to see. Hashtags like hashtag Gulf America, they're like rallying cries or points of disagreement, depending on who you ask.
Which brings us back to Miko TV.
Right.
Right? Us. And what we're supposed to do as, well, journalists. How do we report on this without stepping on a landmine? There are so many stories being told, it's hard to know what's the right way to show it all.
It's tough, no question. We got to be really careful about the words we choose, the pictures we use, even whose voices we, make louder. It's about giving
Right.
context, showing how complicated the history is, letting people see all the sides without, like, accidentally agreeing with one of them.
Sounds like walking a tightrope. How do we not fall into just like repeating the loudest opinions
Yeah.
or the ones that are the most, I don't know, extreme? How do we keep from making things even more divided?
Facts over hype, that's the key. Giving a platform to people who aren't usually heard. And not making this whole thing sound simpler than it is.
So it's not just like saying what happened, it's asking the hard questions, helping people who are watching understand why things are happening.
You got it. We have to go deeper. What's the motivation behind all this? What happened in the past that led to this? And what could happen if we change a place's name?
Like detectives almost, putting all the pieces together so we can see the whole picture. And that picture includes not just what happened, but what it all means.
Exactly. We connect the dots for people, help them understand why this thing that seems kind of small, changing a name, is actually a big deal because it's part of these like shifts in our society, how we see history, who we think we are, all that's changing.
It's kind of crazy how a name, something so simple, can make things get so complicated, right? Opens up a whole can of worms.
That's the power of words, right? History has weight to it. And the places we care about, the stories we tell about them, that shapes who we think we are, where we fit in, and with the internet and everything, the stakes are higher than ever before.
So what are we supposed to deal then? As people and as a whole society, I mean. How do we handle all this information flying at us and make sense of it? What do we need to learn to, like, be smarter about the news we get?
Yeah, it's like we can't keep up. There's so much coming at us all the time, and history. Trying to understand that, it feels impossible sometimes.
I get it, it's a lot. We're drowning in information, right? It's easy to just shut down. But this whole thing with the landmarks, it actually teaches us something really important about how we, like, read the news.
Okay, you've got my attention. What's the lesson here?
It's about understanding that everyone sees things differently. The Mika News article, it shows us a bunch of different opinions, right? But even within those opinions, there's stuff people miss.
Yeah.
All the little details, they get lost because everyone's trying to decide if it's good or bad so fast. So reading the headlines, scrolling through social media, that's not enough. We got to do more. Like, look at who's saying it, why they might be saying it, and if they're trying to, I don't know, push us to think a certain way.
Exactly. That's where we come in, journalists and just regular people reading the news. We got to ask ourselves, who wins if we believe this story? Who are we hearing from and who's not getting to talk?
It's like we need, I don't know, a whole new set of skills to deal with the internet and all this information, like an information survival guide or something.
I like that. It's about being skeptical, thinking for ourselves, realizing that history, it's not set in stone. People are always looking at it in new ways. And those ways, they're influenced by who's in charge, what we believe is a culture, even just our own personal opinions.
And Miko TV, we're putting this stuff out there for everyone to see. It's a big responsibility knowing that.
It is. And it makes things like, doing good journalism, checking facts, finding all sorts of different viewpoints. That stuff's more important now than ever. We have to give people the information in a way that makes them think, not just believe whatever they hear.
This whole deep dive, it's really made me think. We started with renaming some places, and now we're talking about identity, power, history, even what truth means online.
Wow. It shows how much power words have, how history still matters today, and how the places we care about, the stories we tell, they shape how we see ourselves, where we belong. And in a world where everyone's connected, it matters even more.
It's a lot to take in, but I'm glad we had this conversation. And we need to keep talking about it, at Miko TV, and just as people living in this crazy world.
You said it. This is just the start. We've got more questions to answer, and this whole thing with the news, knowing how to read it right, that's crucial.
Thanks for walking us through all this. It's been really insightful. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We hope this got you thinking, and we hope you keep digging deeper into these questions. Keep having these conversations. It's important.
Absolutely. In a world where there's information everywhere, being able to think critically, to question what you hear, and to find all sorts of different perspectives, that's more valuable than ever.
So until next time.